Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. This is episode number 398 for August 3rd, 2025. We've jumping into August and coming to the end of the year of sorts, finally. Hopefully, it'll start to get cold soon because I'm really sick of this hot weather that we've been having. But I'm your host, Tom-Mr. 99 for tonight. And with me is one Mr. Game Logic. Game, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, Tom. How are you?
Good. Other than the befuddling of the tech, I guess, beforehand. But we got that squared away, I think.
Yeah, it's just a typical, I have to remind myself, and I haven't been podcasting for my Mac. Most recently, I've been podcasting my own show from a Windows PC, and I forget that when I'm using the Elgato Wave XLR mixer, that every once in a while, inexplicably, during setup, it just stops being recognized by Mac OS in its entirety. Like it works locally, but then like anything that I have coming over the web, like just stops working, and I can just fix it by unplugging it and plugging it back in, and it picks back up. So it's whatever it is.
It's the good old hard reset, of course. It's always going to do it for you. Before we get to the main GX stories, let me say hello to Hero Down Under. Thanks for joining us in the comments, listening to us. I believe Willie's working usually. So welcome. Thanks for dropping by. So let's jump into our segment one, main GX stories, gamer experience stories. And we will start with you, Mr. Game Logic, playing one, which is something I have to go back to, Doom, The Dark Ages. On the PC, it looks like.
So went back to this week, and now I have the audio coming out. I'm trying to kill it. Okay. Went back to this week. I ran into some pretty severe problems with this on PC due to some known bugs. There's a wonky bug that has never been fixed, despite the couple of months that this game has been out, I think, where in certain cases, if you turn on frame generation, the game will wig out, and it does what's called a black screen. And so you enable frame. So I went to play the game. I had new install on a PC I hadn't been running it on before with an RTX 4070 Super GPU in it. I had I had just updated drivers. And it was weird because frame generation was grayed out. And so it's a Steam game. And so normally the config file with all the settings is part of your cloud sync, although it's a separate file, and it pulls that from Steam, when you start playing the game right someplace else. So theoretically, these were all my last configured settings. Frame generation, which I was pretty sure I'd had on, was grayed out. And I was like, fine, I'll go ahead and play it. I started playing it. Eventually, my OCD kicked in. I was like really bothered by the frame generation not being on. And so I was like, maybe I read somewhere where there was like a DLSS problem, but like you could do frame generation if you ran FSR. I don't know if that was correct. It was just a thought that occurred to me. So I flipped on FSR. That worked, but then I flipped on frame generation, and then the game black screened. So you could hear the audio and everything, but the screen was black. So I, alt tabbed out, killed the process, went back to the game. At that point, every time I went back to the game, it would go through all like the Bethesda like splash screen stuff, and then as soon as it went to render on the in-game menu, it would black screen. So I went through a cascading number of troubleshooting steps based on things I was reading on Reddit threads and on the Steam community page. I tried eliminating the configuration files, and then it seemed I would eliminate them, but it would always go grab that Steam Cloud Sync config file. So eventually I just like pulled my entire Ethernet cable because I couldn't figure out how to keep it from, even though I disabled Cloud Syncs on Steam, it would still go and grab the config file, it looked like. So it would keep coming back to the same black screen problem. This is all, by the way, I'm just trying to get the game to go back to its default settings, right? So I can get to the menu and change this stuff. So I tried that. It still wouldn't do it. And I kept going in and like deleting the config files, like relaunching the game. And finally I just pulled the Ethernet cable. But I guess at that point, it was just like remembering the last known config settings, even though I had deleted the config file. So I don't know how it was like keeping it in mind or staying on FSR, which I don't think is the default, but and certainly frame generation is not the default being on. So anyway, I couldn't fix it. So then I found some other fixes and they were like, hey, go into this thing called stream record production and delete all the DLL files in there. So I did that, but then I was like, I don't think I want to delete these. So I created a temp folder and stuffed them in there. Because I was like, I think I might need these back. And I wanted to be able to get back to them without having to do a complete reinstall. So that didn't work. So then I saw this other thread that said, there's this file called in the AMD 64 folder called AMD VLK.dll. So go in there and change the file extension to something like .dll bad. So I did that. And in between that, I'd also seen these things where like it's, you have to unplug, like if you have multiple monitors, then you need to disconnect all your extra monitors. If you only have one monitor, plug another monitor back in. I was like, I'm not moving another. It was a single monitor setup. I was like, I'm not moving a whole monitor over here to do this. So I just unplugged the one monitor I had and plugged it back in. So finally, I got it working again. Got it to get to I think renaming that AMD Vulkan.dll file finally fixed it. And I was able to go back to it. I was able to re-enable DLSS. And at first I was like, I'm not going to turn frame generation on. Like, I'm not going to risk it. But of course, curiosity killed the cat. And so I did turn it back on. It wound up then working. And so I was getting 165 frames per second at 1440p with I think I kept ray tracing or path tracing off. So it played really well. It was actually the thing I didn't like was the GPU was actually putting out like 235 frames per second. And I was like, even though I had, like I told it was like a 165 hertz monitor. And then I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try DLLA. So the footage we're watching now, this is with DLAA on. And I can't remember if I think I have path tracing enabled now, and frame generation on, and you can see it's getting like 100 in excess of 120 frames per second. So now I'm like really happy with the performance rate. And this is on the 4070 Super. So I have like two other boxes that have better GPUs on. And so I'm really happy with this performance. It may not be coming through the video very well, but like the image quality, it's quite frankly stunning. And now, right now that I've gotten past like these temporary PC woes, I was about 10 chapters into the game. The game's like 22 chapters, so I was almost at 50%, and then like all these problems blew up in my face. So it's like I was almost at the point I was like, I'm going to be really aggravated if I can't finish this game. So, but now I've got it, and it's like beautiful. There are as you go through the game. I mean, I think level design in the game is really great. But even more so as you go through the design, the world, I feel like, kind of expands and you start hitting areas that aren't just like demon hellscapes, right? Where like the whole earth is scorched, right? And it's just like fire and brimstone popping off from towers everywhere. You actually get later in the game to really getting to some beautiful environments and biodomes of like, grassy areas and mountainous areas and things that almost, certain landscape vistas that, kind of remind you of like Zeta Halo in Halo Infinite. So it's really good. I've, during this, 6 hours more that I put into it this week, I hit parts where, you're able to get into an Atlan, right, which is the big, mech armor. And then here, obviously, you see me riding the dragon. I have to say, there's nothing like the moments in the game, like where you hear "Prepare the Slayer's Dragon," right? Like that's just such a great line in the game. So yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. I'm happy that I got it working again. So. Yeah, having lots of fun. There's obviously there's sort of like a I don't want to call it a mystery, but mystery lore behind it of kind of seeing all the things that unfold before the events of Doom Eternal, or really technically before the events of Doom 2016 even, although Doom Eternal was the most recent thing that I'd been playing before this. And so that's kind of neat, right? From a mini nostalgia perspective. I say mini nostalgia because Doom Eternal wasn't that many years ago. But yeah, all the different mechanics and the different gameplay, and just kind of how the combat works differently, but can still be super stressful because it's really a matter of battle space management and battle space geometry, and like knowing and understanding where the enemies are. There's some frustrating, like kind of cheesy enemies in it. Like there's the invisible demons that like they just start hitting you, and you're like, oh, what? Like where the heck is that coming from? Like what is that? And then there's the ones that like the character models are really small, like for these demons, and so they are able to start like machine gunning you from like a really far distance away, and you're like, where is this guy out there on the landscape? Like where is this coming from? And then there's a couple boss demons who they have that kind of machine gunning effect, but it's like there's no like the tell on when they're about to pop it like isn't like really obvious. Like it's some really small piece like on the character model. So that gets aggravating. It's kind of like the only way you're about to get machine gun is when you start seeing bullet holes riddling your screen. So, but other than that, like I said, lots of problems at the initial outsetting of this session. But once I got past those, it's I'm back to like really enjoying all the fluidity and all the traversal and all of the little variations in the game, which I think that's probably the biggest difference between this and Doom Eternal is just the variance in traversal methods and in level design. Feels like a lot more complex than Doom Eternal. And of course it doesn't have the super aggravating platforming, where you have to like leap out into the space and just assume that you're going to be able to, traverse through the air around a blind corner that you can't see. So, but yeah, having a really good time with it.
And were you playing on PC just because you had played it previously, or?
Well, that's where I bought it. So it's a copy on Steam. So that's where I bought it.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it looks. I mean, even on the screen there when you were showing, it looks beautiful. So before, when you first started the video, did it seem like a little bit of slow down, maybe even lag a little bit? I don't know if that was just because everything was going on the screen, or maybe if that was when you were kind of playing with settings. I don't know. I think like it seems smooth. Like
I think what you saw on your end was just like the buffering, right, coming from me playing the video file locally, and it's not. It turns out, unfortunately, it's not coming through really well on YouTube. So now I also understand there's another podcast that I guest on sometimes, and the video is always choppy on that podcast. And because I'm not in like the engineer seat in their StreamYard room, I've always been like, why? Like we don't have this problem. But now what I see it is that most of the time that I'm playing back video footage on our podcast, I'm sending it from YouTube. So I don't think it has as much round tripping latency as it does when I'm playing the file locally.
Yeah.
So I apologize about that. This is footage I haven't uploaded to YouTube. So my apologies for any of the viewing audience out there for how choppy it's coming through.
Nice. Yeah, it was just that beginning. Like everything else seemed fine after that. Like
I think you were just looking at that initial spool, right? In StreamYard, where we're looking at it, it looks fine. So I'm sorry, it's not. It's apparently a problem StreamYard has. Sending a good. Sending a local stream over of footage that's being played locally from the cloud, when it's coming through YouTube, it seems to do better. So, but yeah, it's great.
And now I didn't play Doom Eternal. I played a little bit of Doom, 2016. But in Doom Eternal, or even in Doom 2016, were there any other traversal options, or were you always just on foot?
You are always on foot. Yeah, I mean that was kind of the big thing of Doom Eternal and why like there was the big whooping and hollering. I think when this game was presented at the developer direct, I think was the first time we saw it. I think back in January, I want to say maybe it was shown last year. I can't remember, but in Doom Eternal, the Atlan's, which again are the big mech armor suits. You constantly come across them, and you'll come across like pieces of them where like an arm is like sticking out of the ground, or like the head and torso are above the ground. And there's level elements in Doom Eternal where you have to find the power core to power up the arm because you're using the laser that's on the arm to like blow open like some big chamber door or something. But you could never actually get inside the Atlan. There were points where I want to say, I guess I wasn't an Atlan. I think there were points where you could like get in the cockpit, right, and use like pieces of it, but you were never mobile, right? You were just like trying to access some component of the armor to get something done. So this one, you're in the suit, right, and you're walking around, fighting huge demons. So yeah, there was a lot of because obviously like lots of people's wish lists, right, from Doom Eternal was like, geez, I wish I could, get in this armor and like walk around and do stuff. So they delivered on that element. And quite honestly, I find like playing the dragon levels to be a lot more satisfying. The dragon traversal, I feel, is a lot better because you saw it earlier. You get in those sequences where you can go around and dogfight like some like demon like fighter ships. The goofy kind of quick time stuff where like you come up to a cannon, you have to hit the zoom sight, and then it's only from the zoom sight that you can actually dodge the cannon fire, and then that's what gives you the ability to actually deliver damage to the cannons, because other than that they're shielded and you can't do any damage to them. That I don't find it as satisfying, but in general I find the combat more satisfying in the dragon than in the mech suit. In the mech suit, you don't have the shield, and so the only thing you can do is kind of dodge. And even though it's technically you have a dodge, it's really more just as you see the demon like telegraphing that they're about to swing the axe, you just move so you're not where they're landing the axe, right, when the axe comes down. There's a dodge mechanic in it, but it's like you move like an inch right to the left or the right. So if you just try to dodge, you're going to get hit. So you really just have to you see them rearing back with the axe. You really just have to just walk around to the side of them at that point. So the combat's not horribly satisfying in that, is the reason, as I described, that is the reason why it doesn't feel as much fun being in the Atlan as it feels being on the Dragon. But I'm also a flight sim guy, so maybe that's my bias.
Yeah, more just like a sidestep than like a dodge. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I want to get back to side. I did have a lot of fun in this game, at least at the beginning. This looks pretty intense, though. Like there's a lot of stuff going on on this screen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say. So after this point, I think I did dial down the difficulty. Particularly so there's the special rooms you access that's you need the purple keys to access them, and you access them, you go in there's some big reward that you get from getting it, but when it's on normal, it's just, for me, you go in there and you fight, you fail, and then it's and so many times on those missions I fail the final boss, or I fail the last phase of the final boss, or I fail when I've got the boss down to an inch of life, and then you fail it and you respawn back out on the outside of the room, not having fought any of the fight. Any weapons mode switching that you've done, you got to do that all over again, and then you go into the fight, and then you're doing the whole thing over again. So the night I got, I had the problems and I got stuff fixed, I was just it's in there, you're trying to complete this purple special level for 30 minutes, and I'm okay, yeah, I played through 50% of the game at that difficulty. I'm just interested in getting through the story at that point. I'm not playing it for the combat. I can always come back and just select a particular level, if I want to go through those fights at a higher difficulty. So I was like, yeah, I'm just putting this thing down on easy so I can burn through it. And actually, nicely enough, because we often talk on this show about how difficulty scaling is sometimes ineffective. Like you change the difficulty and then it's like not really that difficult, or it just wildly scales from like super easy to super hard with like no really good in between. The difference in difficulty in going down to easy from normal is pretty significant, but like not entirely wild. And meaning like if I had been playing it on easy and I shifted it to normal, I wouldn't feel like oh my god, like this is ridiculous, right? It feels like an appropriate scaling, right? But then on easy, it's also I don't want to say nice, but it's also what's the word I want to use? It's like it's noticeably more efficient, right? You noticeably get through levels faster, right? In terms of gameplay time. And so, okay, yeah, I'm like, this fits. Like it's, I really like this game, but I also have a crap ton of other stuff that I would need to play on other systems. And so, I don't have time to be in here trying to finish a level like in 30 minutes, just to get through a special awards level, like in a secret area, not even through like main campaign stuff. So, yeah, like I said, it's a pretty great delivery by id overall.
Nice. All right, I'm going to jump into my game real quick. Not a new game. So I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that I've been kind of going back on my Switch 2, kind of playing older games that I have. Talk about one of the two I guess kind of three. Two that I've been playing right now is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So playing on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I can't really. It's been so long since I played this game that I can't really compare it because I don't remember. Because this came out, I think, fairly early on the original Switch system, Switch life of the system. But I will say it does run like pretty much all older games pretty smooth. Like there's not like hardly any pop in or anything like that. Maybe like kind of when you're in the bigger cities and there's a lot of animals around or creatures, I might see something here and there, but it's pretty good so far. The graphics themselves, this is original Switch game, so it looks pretty decent. Like it looks good. It's nothing like, to me at least, nothing super spectacular. Like some of the backgrounds, like when I'm kind of traversing the world, because it's open world-ish, it looks really good. Like you'll see like the big creature that you're riding on, it's kind of lumbering around, it's just cloudy all around you. So, there's nothing really past the big creature that you could see, at least not where I'm at right now. So all that looks good. It took me a little bit to get back into the game. Like I knew I wasn't going to restart this game because I know it's kind of a lot. And even now I'm still unlocking stuff like within my menu that I can do with my characters and with the weapons and stuff like that. So I was like, I can't restart this. I'm just going to have to like dive into it and play it. And I was actually kind of surprised because when I first played this, I remember when I first played this game, like I was like, okay, it's good. Like I was kind of like, oh, it's all right. But now when I'm playing it now on Switch 2, maybe it could just because it runs smoother or whatever. But like I'm kind of getting into it now. Like I kind of like I have no idea what's going on in the story. Like I'm just kind of relearning that part of it too slowly. I kind of have to go back and kind of figure out. Maybe I'll watch a video or something. But of kind of what's going on. And even just like with the controls and stuff like that, like it took me like a couple of days to kind of figure everything out. Like it's not the one thing I do like. I think maybe it kind of surprised me, and I don't know why I thought, but I was thinking it was a turn-based game, but it's not really. It's more like maybe like Diablo, where you have like the cooldowns on your abilities and stuff like that. So it's not like a turn-based game. So that I don't know why I was thinking it was turn-based, but it's not. And then you can just, as you're waiting for your, sorry, go ahead.
You should have known it was a turn-based because you played it before.
well, I mean, every once in a while, I do try to play one.
Every turn-based, you wouldn't have stuck with it as long.
I like to go back to it. But but that's good. But you do kind of have a basic attack too while you're waiting for your other abilities to kind of come back. So that's nice. And then you have, right now I have, I think 3 like regular special abilities, and then you kind of have your ultimates that you can do, and then you have like other like team up abilities you could do with your party members and stuff like that. So, but I'm having like I said, I'm surprised because I'm really starting to get into it now, even though I have no idea what's going on in the story. But all the characters are pretty cool and just kind of slowly introducing you. I'm in like I think the second like major town I think that I've hit now. If I remember correctly from where I was playing before, kind of big town city thing that you kind of run into every once in a while. It's also kind of nice because it looks like the enemies don't level with you. Like I was kind of running through like the little open world before that, and I was hitting obviously levels kind of close to me. I think I'm around 6 or 7 level right now with most of my characters. But I was kind of just hunting around, like you could dig up stuff and find stuff. So I was kind of doing that. I was seeing like characters, in the teens, and then I hit another area where it's like 40, 30 and 40 levels. Like, oh, I got to get out of here because they're probably gonna like one shot me. So it's kind of nice that it's that kind of game, and it's not like a more of a Bethesda game where they tend to level up with you. Enemies level up with you, which kind of irks me sometimes. But yeah, I'm having a pretty good time with this game so far. And like I said, I'll probably chip away at it here and there. I'm not gonna like dive headlong into it, but I'm definitely gonna keep playing it. And I don't remember the main character. It's when you play these RPGs and stuff like that, like usually they have like an English accent, but it seemed more like a maybe Australian or New Zealand kind of an accent or so, at least with some of the main characters. So that was kind of a different thing that kind of shook me too. I was like, oh well, that's different. It's not like a regular English, UK speaking person like it usually is. So that was kind of nice too. Nice change of pace. But yeah, I'm having a good time with this so far. I don't know. Did you ever play any of those Xenoblade Chronicle games?
Well, I hate that you asked me that while Enate is here, because I am going to have to out myself and say that, yeah, this is a JRPG I haven't even gotten around to like taking a toe dip in. I have Chronicles X Definitive Edition. That's one of the things I picked up after I got my Switch 2. So like I have it and like immediately stocked it in my backlog. I just haven't had a chance to get around to it yet. Nice. My impression, I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it's whatever one hits me in recent memory. It's like a very long game. I can't remember how long the main campaign is, but like one of these that came out like in the last few years has like 100+ hours of content, and so it's one that I'm definitely gonna have to stock time away for to get into, and I just haven't made the time for it yet. I specifically grabbed Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I think that's the one that there were data miners who found like a Switch 2 mode or something in it when it released on the Switch, and so I'm kind of curious to see how well that plays on Switch 2. I don't remember if that Switch 2 mode ever became a real thing or was ever turned on by the developer, or if it just noticeably plays better on Switch 2. But I figured this is a series I've long been wanting to get into, so this was as good a time as any to pick one up. But like I said, I just haven't made time for it on my slate yet.
Nice. Is that the one? Does that one have? Now I've kind of seen, like I watch like a YouTube kind of like a news show where they talk about the Xenoblade series, and there was one that they showed where they kind of have mechs. Is that the one with mechs, or is that one of the newer? Is that the newer one? I know this one is more fantasy. The one I'm playing right now.
Yeah, I think it's both. I want to say that the cover on this one is the one with like a mech or somebody in a suit with their back turned to the cover art, which of course is always difficult to remember because everything I buy is digital. But yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because that one looked pretty cool just because it had the mechs. I was like, oh, that looks cool. And I think that was another reason I kind of jumped into this one. Not because I knew it wasn't, I knew it was a fantasy game, so which is fine. I like fantasy games, but it's like, maybe I'll, dip my toe into this one and then jump into that one or something like that. But yeah, this one, there's no upgrade or anything, at least not yet. Not right now. And probably I would think not, more than likely. I mean, the newer one would probably get like a, Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade if they wanted to, I would assume. More than likely, they're probably just going to do it, like a full, remaster or whatever they're going to call it. But yeah, I was just having a ton of good time with this one, so I'm going to keep on plugging away at it.
So I don't want to dig into it too much because, like I said, I haven't had a lot of time. I haven't had time to play it myself, and there's like tons of stuff to uncork with this. Obviously, I do want to just ask one general question about UI interface and UX design. Like how well is that laid out for this as an RPG, or is it just something you don't have to mess around with a lot as far as like a lot of inventory management and changing equipment around, especially between characters and, skills and powers and, and progression and all that type of stuff. Just kind of wondering how well the UI is suited to making that manageable.
I mean, it's all right. Like I said, I'm even right now, I'm still unlocking stuff within like the main menu screen when you go into it. I think I have like one question mark that I haven't unlocked yet. I just unlocked one to basically like upgrade like the main weapon that you use, and I forgot what they call it right now. I was gonna say Keyblade, but that's not that's what do you call it? That Disney one. Like your main sword that you use, that you can like upgrade that thing, and you can go in there. It does get kind of pretty specific that you can get on with your character. You can obviously change stats with them with strength and luck and all the regular RPG kind of stuff that you can usually do. But then you can also do that with a little bit. Maybe not as much, but with the weapons too. So and I'm glad I actually hit that now, because they kind of like they explain everything to you, like what you got to do with the weapon. Like, hey, you got to get this core that you got to put into the weapon, and then after you do that, you have to take it to this, or I think you take it to the smith or whatever to do that, and then you can power it up and do this other stuff. And I'm glad I hit that now, because if they would have done that before, and then I was trying to get back into it, I would have been like totally lost. So, but yeah, it's pretty involved. Like when you go into the menus and stuff, and obviously you can flip through your different party members. I actually just lost 2 of them, and I think I only have. It's only me, the one like main girl that you meet at the beginning, and then like one other. Keep wanting to say Keyblade, well, another weapon that you can get. So it's interesting though.
Yeah, so E-Nate mentions in the chat that there are mechs in both Xenoblade Chronicles X and 3, which sounds like you're on the one before those 2. Okay. And shout out to Soil Tech too for coming to the live chat. We appreciate you.
Yep, thanks for joining us, both of you. All right, let's jump in, if you don't have any other questions, to the main news headlines.
No, I'll give one shout out to Brap as well, who just showed up in the live chat.
Yeah. All right, if you want to stay in the mic, so you have the first news story about Battlefield 6, speaking of the Switch 2.
Yeah, so this news story over on Eurogamer. By Connor McCarr. I'm on my Mac, so I always forget how to blow the screen up. According to Battlefield 6 head Vince Zampella, the upcoming military FPS will not be coming to the Switch 2. Sorry, Nintendo fans. Sorry, I didn't read the headline, I don't think. Maybe I did. Battlefield 6 is not coming to the Switch anytime soon. In an interview with Eurogamer, Zampella confirmed that EA doesn't currently have plans to bring the game to the Switch 2, and that Battlefield Studios is currently focused on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. When asked why, Zampella confirms that those were the platforms where the core Battlefield audience is present, though he adds that he is a huge Switch fan. So I'm definitely going to ask you for your input on this. I hope my comment doesn't kill the mood. This is a nothing burger to me. I don't think that there's some huge base over on the Switch 2. And I guess this is probably going to be a recurring trend that we see in kind of mainstream gaming news. So the Nintendo Switch 2 brings with it the potential of, hosting most, third-party games that, will typically try to deploy across platforms. Also, will be a place that third-party publishers will try and deploy games that are like in their back catalog or recent. So like on the Nintendo Switch, you would get things like Metro 2033 Redux or whatever. And you would get collections and things like that. So it is a hardware set that is within close enough striking range that, it will create interest in publishers in, back publishing, like I said, kind of recent titles, like not full legacy titles. So, I mean, titles that have come out in the last 3 to 5 years, or maybe weren't on the Switch. So maybe they'll be a little closer to like in kind of the 2-year time frame. And then I think there's also going to be a host to some games that are being published currently as well. And I think that's going to be the big shift. So the Switch tended to get things that had already been out on other platforms. I would say 3 to 5 years. It would, a lot of times it would get collections that had been remastered, and so say the Crisis Remastered Collection, right? So the game was already old, and then the remaster came out, right, for PC and maybe other consoles, and then then it came to the Switch. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a tightening up of kind of that cascade, and you're going to see games that are like currently, so I guess what the kids call day and date, right, going to the Switch too. But I think what's represented here is that companies, particularly companies that are making very high performant games and games that are reliant upon the highest performance, like a PvP online, right, multiplayer competitive shooter. They may not be interested in taking on, right, the burden of putting that on the Switch 2, and like I always say, all of the maintenance and the O&M and stuff that goes along with that, if they don't think that a ton of people are going to jump on and play it. And I just don't know that Battlefield 6 is something that is particularly appealing to a wide swath of the demographic, all right, that's on the Switch 2. Any other thoughts on that, Tal?
No, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's like knocking down EA's door for Battlefield 6. It's like you said, yeah, there's going to be some stuff that'll be able to get on. I mean, maybe we get a Battlefront on there though. That could happen. I could see maybe Battlefront 2 or whatever, if they ever make 3.
The Battlefront 2, didn't that one go to the Switch, or maybe it didn't?
No, yeah, they never. Yeah,
when they brought it back recently.
No, yeah, it never. As far as I know, it never went to the Switch. Yeah, the original Switch. But I could see that one because I mean, while it's Battlefield-esque, the stages are not nearly as big as like Battlefield stages are. I mean, I don't know if if the Switch, even the Switch 2, could run Battlefield, even some of the older Battlefields, like really well with 64. I think 64 is usually the console kind of max they have on their player amount of players, and obviously there's other different modes that maybe that can have a little less and stuff like that. But the Battlefront maps were usually a little bit smaller, still kind of a bigger area, but just at least to me they didn't seem as big. Maybe like the Hoth stage might be maybe the biggest one or so, but even then, I don't think it's a big deal. Plus, supposedly we'll get a Call of Duty Switch 2, so we'll get an FPS at some point maybe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of a play there is right on the Switch demographic for a modern era like warfare, right, oriented competitive PvP shooter. Like I get why why Fortnite does well there, right? But like the other stuff, I just like Battle. I always mix up the Star Wars thing. It's what is the Star Wars one? Is it Battlefront?
Battlefront, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because in my memory, right, there's Galactic Battlegrounds, which is that goofy Star Wars skin that went over Age of Empires, and then there's Battlefront, right? So, but Battlefront on the Switch 2 makes sense to me if they bring that back, because there's a heavy crossover right in that demographic with Disney fans and Lego and all that kind of stuff, and so Star Wars being a Disney IP now, I'm sure it has a pretty welcome fan base. A thing that I would love to see, and it's not really multiplayer, although I think it has co-op, is I've been campaigning for a Star Wars Republic Commando remake, a remaster, and that would go well on Switch 2. I would love to have that game right in portable format to take on the go with me in a form factor that's more svelte than the Steam Deck. Yeah,
I think they did do a remaster. I don't think that ever came to the Switch though within the last few years.
I don't think they ever remastered that.
Oh, they never did? I thought they did for some reason.
No, I went back and looked it up specifically, and I'm pretty sure they never remastered it. And when I realized because I too was surprised, and when I realized they never remastered it, I was like, crap, I guess I gotta load install the old version. The old version does not do well. It's one of those games that like it was made for the technology at the time, and like when you put it on like a modern GPU, like the modern GPU actually like overpowers it and makes it run like too fast, and It's just for me, it's unplayable. It's like you put your mouse DPI on the lowest setting, and like you move an inch, and the clone is like spinning practically. That's an over exaggeration, but like it's like the range of movement like is just too quick and twitchy even at the lowest DPI setting, and I haven't found a way to, without a ton of monkeying around, trying to crank it down. And I don't do mods. I'm sure some mod out there fixes that problem, but until I get the remake of the remaster, I guess I'll just have to lament, live in my nostalgic woe.
maybe I was thinking because I know they did like the Jedi Academy and those type of games. I know they had redone because I did buy on the Switch, and then maybe I think they did the what's his face, Jango Fett's. They remastered that game too. I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did
that kind of single player game that they did.
They did. Was it Star Wars Bounty Hunter? I think.
Yeah,
so they just remastered that one. I want to say last year. I mean, I bought it, I think, on PlayStation 5. It is not a great game. And that's no knock on the remaster. It just wasn't really that great of a game in the first place. So, sprucing up the visuals doesn't do that. And the visuals, like, just were not, like, really that well spruced up. I mean, I felt. Yeah. I didn't think it was a remaster. I think it was just a port. Like, but yeah, it is on Nintendo Switch actually, and I'm talking about Republic Commando now. Yeah, but I don't think it was a remaster. I think it was just a port. But now I'll double check because it wound up on the PS4 in 2021 as well. I didn't realize that. So it came out on Windows and Xbox in 2005, and then This is an interesting publishing thread I have to pull. This thing came out in 2005 on Windows and Xbox, and then went multi-platform in 2021. Where like there's got to be a story behind that. So yeah, I'll go off and research that and look it up. Super super weird. But now I've got to go. Super weird and also super disappointing because where I would like to replay it is on PC. It's not. There's no remaster on PC. What in the world?
Was that Aspire? I think is that one. That used to do. Maybe they still do all those ports. They usually do a pretty good job. So yes, it was. It was Aspire. Put it on the Switch and the PS4, and then THQ Nordic published the physical version. So yeah. Weird.
Well, always a mystery.
Yeah. Speaking of THQ Nordic, though, they had a showcase a couple days ago or a few days ago, maybe even just this past weekend. I didn't even know they were having one until I saw it. Just kind of jump on my recommended feed on YouTube. I was like, oh, hey, THQ Nordic.
It was a thing that we mentioned when we were covering Summer Game Fest to not forget about it because it was a... It was because when did it go down? Did it go down August 1? Yeah, it went down August 1st because it was an August. It was an August date on the schedule, and I was like, okay, remember the Summer Games Fest is going to end, but like there's still these straggling, shows that are going to go on throughout the summer. Yeah.
Well, didn't do much good because I completely forgot about it. So, but I'll just a couple of things that kind of piqued my eye here. Darksiders 4 was announced here, and I think that might have been maybe like a hint of it. I think last year, a couple of years ago. It looks like we'll get all 4 horsemen of the apocalypse finally on there. I did play the original one, and I don't think I beat it. I think I got maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way through it. And then I think I played just a little bit of the second one, which, if I remember correctly, they were drastically different kind of games, I believe, maybe. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
And I can't remember the history, and I'm not going to look it up right now, but what is it? Was it 1, 2? Because and then the third one was called Genesis? Darksiders Genesis?
So. Yeah, that one I just never played at all. So
help me out. I didn't have a chance to watch the showcase, but I believe I've seen things come on my radar on social media where people have like expressed worry that this is a Souls-like game. Did anything that you saw like lend you to believe that at all?
I mean, it was just like a straight like. I don't even think they showed gameplay. It was just basically almost like a CGI or maybe like in-game engine teaser, just kind of showing all the horsemen there. So pretty much what they show on the site was pretty much all it was, I believe. So I don't know where they're getting that from. Maybe they're hearing things. I don't know. It's always rumors, of course, but I could maybe see them trying to do that. But I've never seen that with like multiple. Well, I guess there's multiple players and you can do it in like Night Rain. But I don't know if this is going to be a multi co-op kind of a game, or if it's because all the other ones I believe are just single player. I don't think you could do co-op or any kind of multiplayer on it. So
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess the world kind of lends to it. I guess. I mean, it kind of kind of fits that genre, but we'll have to see what happens. Kind of jumping around here. There's the Gothic remake. I never played that game, so I don't know if you've ever played any of the Gothic games.
I never played them, but I was familiar with them and kind of their place on the landscape. So kind of like I want to say when I think of Gothic, I always think of Wizardry, and I don't think there's a ton of similarity between the two, but that's just kind of like the commensurate like mind space that they kind of lived in, like with the PC gaming community. People in one circle seem to also seem to be another thing that they used to play, and it's and I kind of equate it to that, right, in terms of the IP coming back. So
so this is a remake of the 2001 original RPG. So it's the first one in the series. We got the Guild Europa 1410, which is a kind of city builder simulation strategy kind of game. So looks kind of interesting, and kind of been getting into those lately. So maybe check that one out. Ties of Tomorrow, which I think we might have talked about at one point. This is asynchronous multiplayer adventure where kind of other people's decisions kind of affect kind of your game and gameplay. So
this is like Waterworld, right?
Yeah.
So this is one that I was particularly interested in. So
okay, I thought one of you guys were kind of talking about this one. So yeah, looks pretty interesting. If they can, depending on what the actual ramifications of other people's, they've said that in the past about games, but we'll see how this goes. Sacred series I've never actually played either. That's another one that's coming out. Sacred 2 Fallen Angel.
It's a thing that I remember seeing like the thumbnail art of in old issues of PC Gamer.
Yeah, it's kind of always there. And then they finished with Fate Keeper, which looks kind of interesting. Kind of just like a straight up RPG, like linear. It's not. I guess there's kind of open areas, or maybe just multiple ploys you can get through stuff, but kind of more another fantasy kind of RPG. Looks pretty good.
Looks like a Skyrim Oblivion throwback.
Yeah. So that was it. That was it for the show. I don't know if there was anything that totally jumped out at you for you at least.
I didn't have a chance to.
That's the only one we haven't talked about. But.
I haven't had a chance to watch it. I don't think I will. I think in terms of kind of watching showcases in their entirety, I think I'm done. Unless you guys force the issue next year in our pre-SGF War Council about how we're going to cover the shows. I think from what I saw this year and going through it, I was like, I think I've hit the point where I don't know that it's necessary for me to watch like the entire show. I don't think there's anything that like is gonna like. I think we've moved out of the age where you watch a showcase and you see something and you're like surprised. To the extent that like it wouldn't have also caught your eye if you had just kind of gone to a everything shown at Summer Game Fest 26 kind of article, because these articles didn't used to have like the trailer links to it, and like this one doesn't. But I mean, this is Game Rant, but like most larger sites, you just watch the trailer right there. So
yeah,
and I think I'm just also out of the age of where like I need to like assess PlayStation right on the basis of their showcase, or Xbox on the basis of their showcase, or Healy on the basis of his showcase. Like all of the theatrics are, I mean, and I think what really did it for me is the Summer Game Fest, the meaty part of the schedule, right? The June shows. I was talking about it, I think, on another show this weekend. They like, if there's 3 buckets of like just, the show was okay, the show was fine, the show was like egregiously bad, or the show was like really good. Like out of all those shows, like there was one show that was really, really good. There was one show that was really, really, really bad. And like every other show was in the middle. And I'm like, I don't know that I need to watch an entirety of like 8 to 12 shows if like literally like 10 of them are just going to all be in the middle. Right. We're at the catalog point where I can just kind of scroll through. So, no, I mean, pretty much, most of the same things you called out are the things that just jump out to me that, I need to put that on a watch list and go pull a thread on. Darksiders 4, the Gothic remake, Tides of Tomorrow is already on one of my watch lists to keep an eye on. That's pretty much it for me. I don't think I would go back and play something that is looks like it's kind of wrapped in the veil of like a Oblivion Skyrim kind of game. But if it comes across my radar at some other point, like just as a solo thing, like in a news story by itself, I'll take a deeper look at it. But yeah, I think those are the three big ones for me. Darksiders, Gothic, and Tides of Tomorrow. Any idea if what they showed for Tides of Tomorrow was anything different than what we had already seen at Summer Game Fest?
I didn't get a chance to watch the trailer for that one. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm assuming maybe they might have had some extra footage, but yeah, I didn't get to watch that one. But just kind of going back to the showcases too, yeah, like I mean, other than the Xbox one, I think that was the only one I actually sat through, and just because it just happened to be the perfect storm of my son was out with his friends, my wife was out with her friends, and I was just sitting at home. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch the the Xbox showcase. But otherwise, like, there's no way. Like, I have no time to sit and watch all these. Like, I have to go back and just look at the everything everything that was shown, because it's just too much, especially now, because it's also kind of spread out sometimes, or most of the time now.
So I hope DBQ hears this episode, so we don't have to have a meeting about this. And here's like, look, DBQ, Tao and I said next year we don't need to do the whole battle bus, like war council, like ops room, like covering all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in the same place as you. I think, like, when will I ever sit down and watch one of these things in their entirety? If there's a one-off show that, like, there's not a bunch of other stuff going on around it, or if it's like you said, it's the perfect storm of like, I have a Friday night or a Saturday night or sometime when like everybody else is out of the house and it's just like me and the dog. Then yeah, I'll sit down and pull up YouTube right on a console or something on my Apple TV and take a look at it. But yeah, there with you.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's jump into our next news story, which actually you can stay on the mic for, which is first of our second, or I guess third Nintendo news stories, but the second one for right now. If you want to jump on that one, on some price adjustments for the original Switch.
It's going to take me a couple scrolls to get past Max Schofield's name, like in super large frame on the page. This news story over at IGN by Wesley Ian Poole. Nintendo announces U.S. price rises for original Switch, warns price rises for Switch 2 games and the NSO membership may be necessary in the future. Nintendo has announced a range of price rises? I think it's price raises for various OG Switch products in the U.S. and warned price raises for the Switch 2 video games and the Nintendo Switch Online membership may be coming down the line. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong. Maybe it is rises. The price rises, which are, I'm pretty sure it's raises. Like each time I say it the other way, it like sounds weird. So the price raises, which are based on market conditions, Nintendo said, come into effect on August 3rd. However, they briefly kicked in at Target, as spotted by Wario64 on X Twitter. Assuming the new prices shown at Target are correct, they are as follows. Nintendo price rises announced August 1, 2025. Nintendo Switch 340 up from, so it's $40 up. Switch OLED goes up to $400 from $350. Switch Lite goes to $230 from $200. That's impactful for me because I bought the Switch 2 with the thought that my kids have been asking for. My kids who are only on like Amazon Fire tablets now have been asking for something more advanced for gaming. And I was planning on their next move, being to the Switch Lite. If I had gotten the Switch 2, I got the Switch 2. Now these things are $230, and that puts a little bit of a chilling effect on it. We'll see. Nintendo Sound Clock, who cares? Joy-Con 2 controllers, $100 up from $95. And I heard other peripherals are going up as well, including like the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, I thought was going up as well. So I hate to say it, like people are going to be mad at me maybe because this is another story that is kind of a nothing burger to me. Like I put it in the rundown because I felt like it's Nintendo, there's tons of buzz about it. I will call it a wailing and gnashing of teeth. I'll call it Sturm and Drang. There's lots of like anti-Nintendo sentiment about it, and I get it. Is anybody in the market for like a Nintendo Switch? Nobody should be buying a Nintendo Switch at this point, unless you are like getting it as like an entry level first time gaming device for someone, or you're trying to replace a piece of kit that broke and you don't want the Switch 2. Then I think you're impacted. So I feel like the footprint of who this impacts is relatively small. I think why it is important is it's a potential portending of what may go on with the Switch 2, and Yeah, I mean, like it'll be unfortunate if you didn't grab one like in the launch window. And most of us were out. Most of us were not like in the pool. Like I think all of us wound up picking one up, either just because of like FOMO or kind of Pavlovian like console launch response for people who've been gaming for decades, or just on a whim because we happened to drive by a store like and it was available. And man, does it now look like we made the right choice, right? If you were going to buy a Switch 2. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Tal?
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure we knew this was going to happen. Maybe not so much with the old Switch. Like, I guess I thought it was kind of weird that they're doing it on the old Switch too. Also, Switch, the old Switch systems, family of systems. But I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense too, just with everything economically going on right now. So, like I said, though, I think it was pretty much, this was going to happen unless anything changed, which it didn't, which I'm pretty sure we all knew it wasn't. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately it's the way it is now. And like I said, Switch 2 is probably going to go up fairly soon. They don't really say when or anything, or even kind of give an estimate, but for the Switch 2 and the games themselves. But we'll have to see. I'm assuming maybe even by the end of the year, we'll see those price hikes for that stuff. But definitely probably by early next year, we'll see that those prices also go up.
So I think we caught these while we were talking about it, but I do want to give Soil Tech, who's out in the chat, doing the work as backstage support for the podcast, and I do appreciate it. He did confirm that our Republic Commando is on the Switch, and that Aspire did do the porting over to Switch. So yeah. So it's like I do appreciate it. I just as a heads up, I don't have Discord open when I'm on the podcast. So I mean, feel free. I mean, I wound up getting the alerts on a different device, but like on my desktop, I don't have it open, so I may not see things that you send over Discord right away. But I do appreciate it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Thanks everybody. All right, so let's jump into our next story, which is another Nintendo story, which they had their partner direct this past week, and I believe Thursday early in the morning. So that one also I didn't unfortunately get a chance to watch that one. I did watch it later on in its entirety, and they had a lot of stuff in here, so I'm just gonna kind of jump through some of the things that kind of caught my eye. They started with Monster Hunter Stories 3: Twisted Reflection, which I was kind of interested in because I kind of been jumping into Monster Hunter over the last few years. I bought Rise on the original Switch and World on PC. I haven't bought the newest one yet on PC or any consoles yet, but then I was kind of looking back at some of the older games, and I guess the older ones were turn-based from what I was reading, unless I read something, or maybe it was just the first one, but so I'm assuming maybe this one will be too. So I don't know about that one now. And then kind of just flipping through some of these. We got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero on November 14th, which I already have on PC, but I may possibly buy that on the Switch too also. Kind of jumping. I was kind of interested in EA Sports FC 26, just because I've been kind of getting the soccer with the rematch, and maybe I'll go into more semi soccer at some point, but that might be one I'll be looking at too in the future. I know Final Fantasy.
So one thing that's super interesting about this is apparently it looks like they are doing a Switch and a Switch 2 version. So
yeah,
super interesting because of course the smoke about the Switch version has always been that it was either always last year's version really, or it didn't implement all the features that like the set-top box version, big boy console version did. So obviously they've said, FC26, the Switch 2 version, will be a version that features everything. So it's super interesting. I would also say I've been trying to get very careful, and I've also like given some, I don't know if I want to say pushback, but like some negative feedback to people of like, look, when we in the gaming community say this thing is like really, really good, and we say that in the vacuum of okay, yes, but the thing that they did before, like that they've improved on so much, was really, really bad. And they did that. Like, it's not like they improved somebody else's work. They screwed something up, and now they really improved it. Like, we probably shouldn't like talk about that as like being really great. So in some ways, this thing with FC26, it's encouraging to see from, like I said, because of my last criticism, I was like, I hate to say what we loved, what is encouraging for us to see. I guess it's still nice to see that EA is taking a very careful approach with its portfolio on Switch 2, whereas like in the past with a Nintendo platform, when it's gotten discouraged by the results or just the effort to compete with Nintendo first-party titles, it's just clapped out and said, yeah, we're not supporting that, right? Like, they pulled the support for the Nintendo Wii. They then said, yeah, we're not bothering to come back for the Wii U. I want to say, I think that it was a slow wait and see approach to how much they were going to support the Switch. So like I said, obviously, they put FC20, they put the FC series on it, but it was kind of like begrudgingly. So it's nice to see that they are taking this kind of forked approach where they are choosing to support at high levels, or at least the things that they're taking, like they're choosing to take certain things seriously, and they are like being very bullish, right, on supporting those things, like with FC, which means they had to have seen like good sales, right, or some encouraging uptake of the title. And by the same token, they're also not wasting their time putting on like, kind of a half behind, wet paper towel effort with something like Battlefield, right, on the Nintendo Switch too. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were like kicking and screaming to put stuff on the Switch, because I think everybody kind of near the end. I think finally like you said, they started doing it. But yeah, FC was one of them. I forgot there was something else that they kind of released. Maybe one of the other sports games like golf. It wasn't Madden. I don't think Madden ever came to the original Switch. So, but yeah. Also, yeah. Thank you, Nate. He said Monster Hunter stories are all turn based. So. Sorry, Monster Hunter Stories 3, but we'll see about that one. But yeah,
so it's like I do want to reiterate, like, very, very much appreciated. Like I was more so explaining that the reason I didn't see it is because I don't have Discord open on the desktop anymore now that we don't do the show during using Discord. But yeah. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tal.
Nope, sorry. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Avalis Chronicles. I know that's a big one. I think for a lot of people, they're always asking for Final Fantasy. I got Persona 3. It's not a big deal. One of the I guess major ones was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which a lot of people look forward to, which is the Dynasty Warriors like Musou game that they'll be releasing sometime this year. Probably they haven't given an exact date since Partner Direct. This is quite Tecmo, so that makes sense that they showed it here. So
I also didn't have a chance to watch the Direct. Is this the same Musou game that was on the Switch, or is this?
No, this is a sequel, I guess.
Sequel. So okay. Wow.
This takes place before Tears of the Kingdom. That one, the original one, took place before Breath of the Wild, I believe, is how it goes. So yeah, as far as storylines, but yeah, this is the next one. Men 2026. That one I'll probably get to, kind of like how I did with MLB The Show a couple years ago. I bought that instead of just getting it off Game Pass like I had been. So I might actually pick up a Madden in like the longest time. Apex is getting an upgrade. They had that on the original Switch. That's getting an upgrade for Switch 2. So I'll probably try that out too when it comes out. Star Wars Outlaws, which I had been eyeing, and maybe I'll finally buy that on the Switch too. Even though I know a lot of people kind of poo-poo it, but it looked good to me. So
allow me to take a moment, right, to yet once again give Ubisoft their flowers for all the shade Ubisoft gets, right, and all the smoke and all like the nickel backing. I want to yet again point out, here's Ubisoft digging their heels in, doing the work. Star Wars Outlaws, yay verily, it launched. Yay verily, it has all like the anti-DEI crowd, like with all their craziness and mess out there. These guys have supported this game. They have pushed this game. They have steadily worked to improve this game. They have delivered on content for this game. They have done, as Ubisoft always does, they have done more for this game, which had a tepid reception by the gaming market, the gaming community, and gaming critics, and they have stuck by this game and pushed it. And look, they know, what I assume is that they know that they have a community of people out there who have enjoyed it, who are into the Star Wars IP, who are looking forward to this access point in this storytelling, in kind of the tapestry, the landscape, and the world building of Star Wars, because it presented a very new opportunity of a way to engage with Star Wars lore, right? It's not a Skywalker story. It's not like a spin-off of like the core. It's kind of opening up a new chapter. It does a lot of things that other Star Wars games haven't. It didn't fully bridge the gap to like space exploration, but it gave you kind of a little bit of a flavor of that. And again, no one no one came into the Ubisoft offices and held Yves Guillemot at gunpoint and told him, you need to support this game. I also don't, and this is often the case for me with Ubisoft, like Ubisoft doesn't make a ton of Star Wars games. Like there's nothing, I don't know that there's any like Ubisoft reputation riding on this game. Like all the hoopla that went on about Assassin's Creed Shadows and like, you guys have to stick the landing on this. You have to nail it. It's Assassin's Creed. It is the thing that resonates with Ubisoft. That same gravitas, I don't think, surrounds a Star Wars game. Now, I readily admit, like what may be going on in the background is Disney may have said, "Hey, if you guys want to be able to make more Star Wars games, like get your house in order," But we haven't heard anything of that. I don't know that Disney is still putting in a dime. There may have been some clause that said, "Hey, you guys need to sell at least X amount of these to get like a certain amount of revenue." I don't know. I don't know about those, but like what I will tend to believe is this is Ubisoft doing the work that they always do, because this is typical Ubisoft. This is what they do with almost every game. Particularly anything that like is above the 51% point on the belt line, right, of a title for them. It's super impressive. I'm so glad to see it. So yeah, go ahead, roll on, Tal.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. It was one that I did want to play. So, excuse me. Let's see, we got Chronos: The New Dawn, which kind of a horror-ish title. I think it's been shown before. Just kind of skipping down a little bit. NBA Bounce looks kind of maybe NBA Jam-ish a little bit, using kind of the NBA mascots, from around the league. I've kind of run through the gameplay. It looks like it's a lot more NBA Jam than anything, which looks kind of cool. Obviously they're kind of cutesy, and everything like that. It might not be the the most, and it's 3-on-3, 3-on-3 basketball. So it looks good, pretty easy to pick up and play. Jumping down, you got Shinobi Art of the Vengeance, which we've seen before, but it just looks like a really cool 2D Shinobi game. So that looks like it's a pretty good time.
And as much as I love Sega IP, we can't bypass the JRPG Romancing Saga 2. So again, the Nintendo Switch 2 apparently like setting the pattern again of being the JRPG machine, and entertaining so many remasters, remakes, coming to the title, coming to the platform, which I think is just great to see. I think these are games that go great on either a big screen or in mobile format, and just allow you to kind of chip away at them when you're away from your console setup. So good title to see coming into the portfolio.
Yep. And then they close with a couple of the 2.5D games, one being Octopath Traveler 0, and then the other one, which I thought was just going to be another JRPG, but it's The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. That one's not coming out until 2026. There is a demo out right now, though, but that's actually an action adventure RPG, so not turn-based or anything like that. So I think I'll take a look at that one when it does come out. I was going to look at the demo, but I guess your progress doesn't go over into the main game, or at least not right now. Maybe in the future. I think they might said there might be another demo that does that. So I think I'll just hold off until that one comes out, or until the whole game comes out. So that's coming out in 2026. But that does look pretty cool too. The Adventures of Elliot. So
yeah, I know a lot of people won't be happy about it, but I will say, to me, this direct had a lot of content that I'm interested in. And what I'll say from a trend assessment, right, of us kind of going through it is, the Nintendo Switch 2, despite not having a ton of first-party stuff, right, first year out of the gate, there's a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 versions of things in here that are giving people a reason, right, to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. I want to, like, to me, the Nintendo Switch. So for a lot of people, it was a first party Nintendo machine, right? But I think for a lot of people, it's kind of like a Game Boy, right? It's kind of like that thing that you have that you stuff a bunch of games on, that you throw in a bag, doesn't take up a lot of space. And when you like go on the road, take it with you on travel, take it with you because you're working, out of the office and coffee shops during the day or whatever. It just has, you have 24 games on it, right? That you can just pick, to kind of, like I said, chip away at, chew at for 30 minutes. And I see a lot of content here that kind of falls in that bucket. I don't know that like Madden 26 would ever be like a go-to title for me on the Switch. But again, the notion of like having that game in portable format, I think has a huge amount of play. It kind of reminds me of like the type of stuff that I used to love having on my PlayStation Portable. I used to love having, the MVP baseball on it from EA Sports back then. Things like NFL Jam. I can't remember what was the other one that I had on it. I think I had it. I think there was whatever the EA Sports big things were. So I think I had NFL Street. I don't know why I said it. So NFL Street, and I think NBA. I think there was a version of NBA Street too that I used to love just throwing those in a bag and play them on the plane. You have a 12 game, 16 game, 24 game, 30 game season, and it's just a great thing to have with you in mobile format. Playing at a much higher fidelity than you would be able to. That you would get like on a phone, right, as an app. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff here.
Yeah, I think overall, like a lot of the stuff wasn't really for me. Like stuff here and there, like there's a lot, like you said, a lot of RPGs. So it's like, but I think it was they did still showed a fairly good variety of stuff though too. So not just totally all RPGs and JRPGs. So
yeah, it's a really good show. It's a really robust portfolio, right, in terms of diversity and hitting on multiple genres here in this opening year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it was good, but looking forward to a few of these. So, all right, let's jump into the next news story, which comes from GameIndustry.biz from Vicky Blake. So this is kind of the top tens of the consoles for the past for quarter two, of 2025. It starts off here, 6 of the PlayStation 10, and this goes through PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, but 6 of the PlayStation 10 US best-selling games in Q2 2025 were published by Microsoft. And the data shared by Circana's executive director and video game analyst, Matt Pescatella, ranked by dollar sales and including physical and digital from participating publishers. Microsoft Indiana Jones, Minecraft, Doom, The Dark Ages, Call of Duty 6, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion Remastered, and Forza Horizon 5 came on in the top 10 spot. And I'll kind of jump through the top 10 here in a second. On Xbox, similarly published top 10, were similarly published in top 10, although Take-Two comes in close with 3 games from their 2K25 series. On both consoles, on both Microsoft and PlayStation, Elden Ring took the top spot, Night Rain. And then, unsurprisingly, of course, Mario Kart World came in top on Nintendo Switch console. But let's go through the top 10 real quick for PlayStation. So we got Night Rain number 1, Forza Horizon 5 number 2, Elder Scrolls 4 Remastered number 3, MLB The Show 25 number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 5, Doom The Dark Ages 6, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach number 7, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, number 8. Minecraft number 9, Minecraft's still up there, and Assassin's Creed Shadows number 10. For Microsoft, pretty similar. Night Rain top spot. Actually, Elder Scrolls 4 is number 2. Elder Scrolls Online number 3, which I don't know if they're having like some kind of special, or maybe they dropped a new update within the past few months. That was number 3. Minecraft number 4. NBA 2K25 and WWE 2K25 were 5 and 6. Assassin's Creed's up there number 7. PGA Tour number 8. Call of Duty 6 number 9. Split Fiction number 10, so that's good to see that one's still in the top 10. And then Nintendo, we got Mario Kart World number 1, Mario Kart 8 number 2, Cyberpunk Cyberpunk 2077 number 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom 4, Minecraft number 5, Rune Factory, which is the newest one, Guardians of Azuma number 6, Super Mario Party Jamboree number 7, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild number 8, Hogwarts Legacy number 9, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate jumping back into the top 10 at number 10. So I don't know if there's anything for, and this is obviously this is for the whole quarter from was it July? April to July. So anything in there on any of the consoles that you saw interesting, or it's good to see Assassin's Creed was holding up there, and PlayStation and Microsoft. So I still want to get to that eventually, Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I don't know. Did you see anything there that kind of caught your eye?
No, nothing that really surprised me. Lots of commentary, obviously, about kind of the Xbox strategy versus the PlayStation strategy. And one of the things I've been commenting on for a while, since Xbox really kind of went hard in the paint, right, on this multi-platform strategy, and in particular the games that they're publishing over on PlayStation. I think there's an interesting kind of inflection point to watch out for, because what I would believe, so from a software perspective, with them being at, because Microsoft earnings came out this week as well, with them being at $24 billion, I think, in revenue for the Xbox division, $5 billion of that coming from Game Pass, and then their hardware business, constantly receding, constantly double digits down, and with the price raises, you have to believe that they're not selling, you have to believe, you have to project, right, that they're not selling a ton of hardware. And so when you think about kind of what I articulated as kind of the 5 footprints, right, of a traditional console business model structure, and you talk about console sales, peripheral sales, software title sales, services, and your storefront, my projection would be that for Xbox, what they're selling predominantly and what makes up the bulk of that revenue, I'm guessing somewhere along the $15 billion amount or larger, out of that $24 billion for fiscal year 25, that the bulk of that is software and services. And so, based on their player install base, what I think you would have to start projecting is that they've got to be approaching an inflection point where more of the money of the gaming division is being generated from what's happening off of the console than what's happening on the console. And I wonder what that may drive, right, in decision making in terms of resources applied, and how it could change things, right, in their approach path on their business model, and how they're kind of running the Xbox division. I don't know that it will generate a huge amount of change, but I think that's just like a different landscape, right, than they've been in. And so, it'll just be interesting to see how it goes. So it's good to see these titles getting uptake on the PlayStation platform, and it's good to see that when you publish titles to a user install base that has 80 billion. I context this from the revenue number to the user number, 80 million people. That you can find success, and you can find success, right, on a platform that, even though it's got 80 million people, it only has 700 something titles being published per year, right? So there's a much greater opportunity there for discoverability versus when you publish your games on Steam and you've got, at least I think in the US, you've got 130 million monthly active users. That's an addressable market. But I think you've got 19,000 games being published per year. And so I think just your opportunity to kind of break out of the noise, even though you definitely have recognizable IP, and brand identification, with Microsoft Publishing, I still think you have a little bit more of a go-to-market challenge there for titles that you're publishing, particularly when you have this oscillating mix of games that are well received on Steam, Forza Horizon 5 and Elder Scrolls, and then you have these games that have mostly negative or mixed reviews, like Starfield and Forza Motorsport. So it's good to see these breakouts happening right on the PlayStation platform.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see they're doing well. I think everybody was kind of wondering like how would that turn out once they did start releasing games on there. But yeah, seems to be doing pretty well for them. The one other thing too, I always wonder, and I don't know why, but Nintendo doesn't have their digital sales for some of their most basically their first party games, and there's a few third party like Cyberpunk and stuff. I wonder if that would change this top 10 at all if they threw that in there, just like the rankings. Like obviously it'd probably pretty much still be like the same games, but I wonder if stuff would move up more than that it is now. I always wondered why they don't put their digital sales in there.
On the Nintendo chart, so the overall chart, there is an overall chart, but it's not carried here on Game Industry on the Nintendo chart. Yeah,
just on the Nintendo chart, just to see how different it might be.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear it's not presented in this data, but I want to say Mario Kart 8, even during the quarter that Mario Kart World went on sale, there were still like 660,000 like Mario Kart 8 sales. So clearly that thing still has revenue tail to burn. So I wonder how the digital sales would kind of upend the Apple Cart on this.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into our round robin, our last segment for the night. I got the first couple games. The first one is an older game, but I actually just bought it for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is Mortal Kombat 1, was the definitive edition, which had all the DLC. So I think like Homelander and Ghostface and I think Jean-Claude Van Damme are in that DLC pool that they had released from the past few months or year-ish, I think, since it's released. It runs well. It runs pretty smooth. The graphics are a little, and I've played it both handheld and docked. Graphics are a little kind of jaggy, like when you're looking at the characters, and a little like the colors are really muted. It's not muddy like on some of the or like hazy like some of the games sometimes were on the original Nintendo, but it's just like they're not as bright like on some of the other games that I've been playing on Nintendo Switch 2. So, but it plays fine. Obviously they have all the different modes. You can do just the regular story mode, which I ran through. It's like in 2 parts right now. So I did the first part. I did part 1, which kind of goes through the kind of continues the ending of Mortal Kombat 11, I believe was the one before that, and then so I finished that one, and then there's another mode where you're kind of almost like a game board. It almost looks like you're kind of going through on the first stage you're kind of going through Johnny Cage's house, and you're kind of just like moving through this kind of linear path, or well, not linear, but you can only move like right or left or up or down if it allows you to. And you kind of, as you like stop on a game, I'm gonna call it a game piece because it kind of looks like a board game. You just do a fight, and then there might be like some kind of modifier, like I don't know, like you continually lose health like over time or something like that, or like there's a weird demon always flying around dropping like excuse me, bombs or something. So there's always some kind of weird thing going on most of the time. Otherwise, it could just be a straight up fight too, or maybe you're fighting alone or whatever. So there's always stuff like that. So I'm kind of going through that, and it basically just unlock stuff while you're doing that. But yeah, and just kind of going back through the original story mode. So there's some cutscenes where it does show like in game, like the in-engine, graphics, and then at other times it'll kind of flip to like CGI, just like a CGI trailer or like CGI cutscene, which is kind of weird. And then there's always like a weird kind of pause and kind of lag transition when that happens. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do like an upgrade to Nintendo Switch. Maybe, hopefully they do. Just kind of smooth that out and just kind of smooth the graphics out, because you can definitely see the change between the two right now. Like I said, you can kind of see the jagginess when it's using the in-game engine compared to just like a CGI cutscene. So I've been playing that. I haven't done any online battles. I don't think I ever did on, I think Mortal Kombat. I think I got 11 on the original Switch too. I'll have to go back and kind of see how that plays too, to see if that plays any better. But for now, yeah, I'm just having Mortal Kombat fun. And then the second game, which is one I've had for a while on the original Switch, is Road Redemption. It's kind of a spiritual successor to Road Rash. I believe it actually I was going to look up the developer too, and I forgot. But I know some of the devs that are did Road Redemption had done Road Rash too. So it's just like you're on a bike, you're going down the almost like a Mad Max-ish type of world where they might give you they'll give you some kind of like mission you have to do. Either you have to win the race, or you have to finish in third, or you have to take out like a certain amount of enemies or a certain enemy, stuff like that. So you're basically just going down. It's kind of a vehicle battler, but it runs really nice on the Nintendo Switch too, on the old Switch, because I'd been playing it off and on kind of the whole summer. I played it a lot actually when I was on vacation last month, but on the original Switch. But on the Switch 2, it's like it's super smooth. Like there's no like slow down whatsoever that I've seen, and then sometimes there's like 5, 6, 7 vehicles, like bikes, motorcycles on the road, but then there'll also be cars, like there'll be police chasing you and stuff like that. So it's all been running super smooth. And I know the one thing on the original Switch was that the graphics were definitely like super muddy, like super like almost like blurry at a lot of the times, and there's a lot of fog like in the distance. And here it's like crystal clear now. It's everything's smooth. So and I was actually I played it quite a bit on the original Switch, but I never really seemed to like get anywhere like in the story. And it's kind of like a roguelike, like as you progress, you can unlock different abilities, and then if you totally die, you can still kind of keep some, like I think maybe 1 or 2 things that you've unlocked, or I think you can pick one thing to bring with you on the next run and stuff like that. But on this one, like it seems like a lot easier, and it might just be because it's a lot smoother now. I can see a lot better, especially in front of me, which is pretty important, like when you're trying to battle people. So, but having a lot of fun with that one too. But yeah, that's all I've been playing, and then I've just been playing my normal like rematch. I've been playing a lot of rematch, which I don't want to talk about that game right now. Let's just go to your your game. What you've been playing on the other game you've been playing on PC.
Is there something controversial going on?
No, not controversial. I mean, I'm trying to go through the ranked play on Rematch, which is like that soccer game, like the if you don't know what that is, like kind of the more casual-ish soccer game. And it's just like I don't know, like it seems like they give me like a person, or like the whole other team is just the other people on my team are just like first time playing, like they don't understand like general concepts, like hey, your whole team's going down, like rank is 5-on-5. There's no other number. So there's 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 on like on quick matches, but it's only 5-on-5. You see your whole team going forward. You got to leave at least one person back to protect your goalie, to help your goalie out, because otherwise they're just going to drop. The other team's just going to have 1 or 2 people in that backfield, and just do stuff, and no one ever passes in that game, like ever. Like you don't even have to pass to me, just pass the ball. Like everybody's just trying to solo it, and it's like, come on, man. Like, so I literally quit the game for like the past 3 days. I just didn't want to play it anymore. So I've just been playing other stuff on my Switch besides the games I play a lot of Pokemon too, but I've talked about that before. It's nothing really new on that one, but yeah, that's the thing with Rematch. So
this is shades of my frustration from like coming from Rainbow Six on PC, when like my friends and I who had actually like worked in similar fields, right, to what we were doing, like in Rainbow, like it had been through that training, and we're like super tactical, right, in our comms and like cutting the pie and watching our corners. Like it sounds like coming from that world, and then winding up on Xbox 360 on with Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six Vegas 2, and just the people playing it like Unreal Tournament and Quake, just charging a room, not using cover at all. Like you just getting to the point where it's like, I don't know why I bother playing this, like with other people.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it feels. And it's super frustrating. Yeah, because I don't have any of my friends are playing this game, and no one ever talks like in the game. Like pretty much with every other game that I play, lately, is like, especially it always seems on PC, like no one ever talks on PC. Consoles, they always just seem to, at least every once in a while, I'll run into somebody. And I will play it on my Xbox Series X sometimes too, but it's still like nobody's talking. It's like whatever. I just had to take a break. That's all.
On PC, I feel like you, like for multiplayer, like you have to be on a Discord server with people who play, and getting your own voice channel is the only way like you get that kind of traction. This also sounds to me like X Defiant, like where like I would go on and like I would be in a group of people who had not learned yet that you can sprint across the map. when you're playing the escort thing. And like in the other team, right? The other team, like as soon as our doors open, like there's 5 guys out there all sniping us as we come through the door. But like when we flip offense and defense, it's like you sprint across the map, and it's like you wind up on the other team's door, like with like by yourself. And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I totally get it. Yeah,
and that's the problem too with like looking for games like on PC. It's like I my schedule's so weird. Like I can't tell anybody like, hey, I can play like every day at this time or that time. Like it's gonna always vary, so I can't do that like I used to be able to. So I gotta suffer, I guess. That's all.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough if you're a like live service person and you're not in a rotating squad. Like if you're people that you're playing with on each game are different. When I was big in live streaming, like it seemed like what was really effective, like the people who had the most fun were the people who were like, and I didn't necessarily like the way they played games, but it seemed effective that they were like, hey, we're playing Battlefield whatever this week, and then I'm bored with this game. They nerfed this thing, like I'm getting pissed off. Okay, well fine, let's all go play Call of Duty, right? And then they run over there and they play that, and they like, oh, Destiny 2 content just dropped. Let's let everybody go over to Destiny 2, right? So yeah, it's a tough life.
Yeah, and it's different too with like shooters too, like Call of Duty or like Fortnite, even Rocket League. Like I don't mind playing. Like I'll play with like random people. I don't have any problems. Like it's just for some reason, like maybe because it's it's soccer, so people are not used to it, or whatever it is. Maybe I just gotta wait a little while, but maybe people will start to learn. But yeah, it's just so much different.
All right. I will round out the show with the other thing that I was playing this week, which was Super Mega Baseball 4. I got an itch and a yen to play some baseball and have not bought Major League Baseball 25 yet on PlayStation or Switch or Xbox. So this is a title, one of those things that kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles, right? I've had for a very long time and just never gotten around to playing. But I had played Super Mega Baseball 3 before, and what I really liked was, despite like the cartoony textures and the approach and kind of all the nonsense and shenanigans of the game, underneath it, there is actually a really good game of baseball, right? In terms of like, being able to, put pitches down low, right? For pitches, till you get 1 or 2 Ks, and then you send that fastball up high around the letters, and it completely fakes them out. Dealing with different offenses or different defenses, and shifting your alignment out in the field. Other things. So have had a good time with that. I haven't more and more so with sports games. I'm getting to the point where like I like to play Dynasty in franchise mode, but I don't feel like being bothered with the off-season team management stuff. So I'm just like, I just let that either be what it is, or so many of these games now have automation where like the AI coach will handle that for you. And I'm like, let them do that, because I love doing that stuff. But I also know if I do that stuff, it's like I'm never going to get through like a 20-something game season, or worse, right, in MLB when it's like 160 game Major League Baseball games or whatever in a season. So I'm fine relinquishing that and letting them handle the scouting and the recruiting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm playing Super Mega Baseball like that too. I don't think that there's all like the scouting and stuff, but there's not like there is an MLB where you have to manage like your minor league team and your farm leagues and all that stuff. But I used to, switch around like my batting lineup and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even bother with that now, but still having a good time with that as well. It's super funny. I talk a lot about performance on PC. Like I'm playing this on my box with an RTX 4080, which has a piggyback like fourth cooling fan that mounts on the top of it on the backside. So it has the 3 regular fans underneath, right? This other one. The fans don't even kick on, right? Because NVIDIA, lots of NVIDIA AI, lots of AIB boards that use NVIDIA, have this feature implementation where like the fans only kick on like if they're really needed. And so I'm playing this game and like the cooling fans aren't even kicking on. So not something that's particularly taxing right, at GPU, but it's still a pretty good amount of fun.
Nice. Yeah, they have 3 and 4 actually on Game Pass. I always mean to try them out, but I just never get a chance. I don't know, one of the Discords I'm on, the one guy is always raving about it, and I think don't know, was it Swiss? I think he always like. I don't know if it was Super
I don't
Mega.
know.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking it was another
maybe
baseball
I would
game. I
think
think.
DBQ has played this.
Okay, maybe DBQ.
It is a franchise now that's owned by EA. So I would expect that it will, trigger kick that the EA Play app for Super Mega Baseball 4 at least. 3, I think they'd put out before they got acquired, but definitely 4 is an EA published game now.
Yeah, so I'll have to check those out. And that uses actual MLB like teams and stuff, right? I don't know if it has the extra players or
no, they're totally made up.
Oh, it is made up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. So that rounds up our good.
I think there are a handful of like MLB PA, like MLB Players Association characters that are in there that I think are in the game. But they're few and far between. It's not like there's, as far as I know, it's not like there's like 3 or 4 on like every single team. That's auto generated when the game starts. So, but yeah, it's mostly made up fictional characters.
Okay.
With completely goofy names.
Nice. All right. So that ends our round robin. Let's jump into releases for this coming week, which I know you put one down. I was trying to look for more. I was like, I don't see anything. Really wasn't like a whole ton coming out this next week. But Mafia: The Old Country coming out for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on August 8th. I don't know if that was one you were thinking of picking up, or I don't know if you've ever played any of the old ones.
Yeah, I've played. I don't know that I've ever played one all the way through, but I've played. In particular, I've played the most. I spent the most time in Mafia 1, and I'm pretty sure I have the collections and remasters and all that. This is one that I have had my eye on and have been particularly interested in, and was sure I was going down the path of it. But now we're into August, and I have a number of games that I've picked up that I haven't finished throughout the year. So even though I'm definitely like a slave to FOMO, it's very hard for me to think about picking this up. In the month of August, just to do a very quick read ahead, we've got Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 coming out on PS5 next week. Not in our significant releases rundown, but just talking about the long range outlook for the mid range outlook for August. Madden NFL 26, which we talked about in the Nintendo Direct, is August 14th. Sort of the Sea, a indie game coming from the guy who did Abzu, and I can't remember what other game. And I think Journey comes out on August 19th. Gears of War Reloaded going to pretty much all platforms on August 26th. Helldivers 2 shows up on Xbox August 26th. Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which we talked about in the Nintendo Direct, August 28th, and A Lost Soul Aside on August 29th. So right now, what I have tagged is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 on the PS5 when it launches, and Lost Soul Aside is like the 2 games that I'm actually planning on picking up this month. But I've often that has often been a lie, and I've deviated from it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, the releases should start coming out now, end of this month, and coming next couple months. So it'll be a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that actually that I'm looking forward to this fall, surprisingly, because it's been a while since I've actually been looking for like a lot of games other than like ones or twosies here and there. But and then I don't even know. Well, I'm assuming Call of Duty's coming out sometime, October-ish, September, late September. So we haven't heard anything about that yet. So I'm sure soon we'll start to hear news about Black Ops 7 coming out. All right. That is it for episode number 398. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Brap, Soltec, Nate was in there. Hero Down Under. Thank you, everybody, for helping out, too, with some of the game stuff we're going through tonight. Next week, DBQ Hams should be back, and he will be the primary host with both myself and Game Logic in the co-host seats. Game Logic, thank you for joining us, and we are edging ever so closely to episode number 400. That will be 399 next week, so a couple weeks we'll hit that big 400. Game Logic, thank you once again for joining us, or joining me, and everybody that joined in the chat live, or if you've watched this later in VOD, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe as usual if you're on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever podcasting app you may use. Please take care of yourselves out there. We will see you next week.